Okay, this should work. Perfect. Okay, so we'll just wait for everyone to jump in. Sorry about that error. There was a technical issue with the link. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but I could not get the audio to work, so we'll just start with this one. Okay, this one, the audio is okay. Thank you for joining us along. Sorry about that error. Let's wait a few minutes for the others to join in, and we'll go a little bit over. I apologize. Okay, so all is well now. Last second technical issue. I'm not sure what that was, but I set everything up and then the audio didn't work. So here we are and we are moving. So as always, feel free to type whatever questions you have in the chat box and I will get to the questions in sequence. So we have a few pre-submitted questions. I was actually away this last week. As you know, we didn't have a live stream. And I mentioned that I might consider doing these weekly or bi-weekly. So we haven't figured out the full schedule yet, and I'll announce the next one. It'll probably be next week. Now, I was away in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Some of you might have been there before or heard me mention that I actually go there a lot because I like it over there. There's a lot of I don't know, like a lot of clarity I get from going away for 1 week. And that's one of my favorite places to go because what I get is a chance to reflect and also enjoy because we went in the water. I look very relaxed. Thank you. And I got also somewhat of a tan, although I use sunscreen on my face. I don't know if the sunscreen worked really well, but I'm actually quite happy with the tan. So we're going to jump into the questions that we have. And prior to that, I released a handful of videos the last week that I was away. So number one was the video that I did on the pruning shears of revision, which is a very powerful exercise to go back into your mind at the end of the day and relive any experiences that you've had throughout the day that weren't in alignment with your definite chief aim, and rewriting the meaning and rewriting the scene in a way that you wish it would have played out. And the reason why we do this is it impresses the subconscious mind. The information that we accumulate every day impresses the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind expresses outwards. So if we accumulate any disempowering meaning or information that causes us to break our connection with our definite chief aim, or any kind of motivation that we have built towards realizing our definite chief aim, or our faith in creating our definite chief aim, then that information is going into the subconscious mind and it's going to be expressed in some shape or form. And what we can do is at the end of the day, take inventory. It's kind of like doing a journal, but it's a visual journal. And I also believe it's a good exercise. So this is something that I do not just at the end of the day, but all throughout the day. And I had a great opportunity while I was in Playa del Carmen, as we were at the beach and the water and so forth, a lot of free time, to reflect back on different experiences that I've had all throughout the year and change the meaning. You know, as much as I aim to do it as much as I can at the end of the day, there's still some elements that come up for me, and I can go in my mind and change and revise the scene. Or the way I do it is I call it conversation with infinite intelligence, or conversation with God. And the idea behind it is that within us, we have a connection to infinite intelligence. And infinite intelligence guides us, gives us empowering meaning, helps us reflect on what we have been experiencing, and even gives us the meaning, the empowering meaning to change, to reassociate to experiences that we've had. And as a result of doing this, we change. Our state changes, our behaviors change. After going through this revision process and conversations with infinite intelligence process, while I was in Mexico, I've evolved a lot of perspectives on certain areas. And this is a journey. Personal development is a journey. So we're constantly evolving and making progress on this journey. And one of the big ones for me is this idea that everyone is you projected outwards, or refracted outwards, or a mood in me is represented by the person in front of me, or each person represents a mood within me. And that mood within you, or how you believe reality to work, as far as people goes, can be changed within, revised within, with the help of infinite intelligence, or using the pruning shears of revision exercise. And what you'll notice is in circumstances or dealings with people where you might have observed the interaction to not go favorable in a persistent manner, as in the same kind of scenario, the same kind of outcome that is not in your favor, all of a sudden it goes in your favor. All of a sudden you're behaving different. All of a sudden the other person is behaving different. All of a sudden the communication is different. And that is the manifestation of the pruning shears of revision. So that's a really good video to watch. The next one I talked about, a video I did, was on greatness by Wallace Wattles, Science of Being Great. And the idea behind it, I took it and I evolved the concepts as I do with anything that I learn, is I don't just present the information within the book, but I discuss my insights and perspectives on it. And I evolve it to based on experience. So to dimensionalize it, to explain it a lot deeper. And what I got out of it is that greatness is available in all of us. And it is so unique to each of us that only us, only we as individuals know the greatness that we are capable of. And there is others out there that can help us achieve that greatness. And some might be able to even recognize it to a large degree. But the truth remains that only you will know your own greatness to the degree that you are capable. And this is also a conversation with infinite intelligence. This is the relationship with the inner world, with God, with infinite intelligence. And this conversation not only reveals your greatness, this greatness is expressed out of you through your subconscious mind, and it's manifest in the world, and you receive that what you put out. So what you put out comes back to you. Your greatness is a gift. It is your contribution. It is what you share with others. They receive it, and they pay you for it. You get returns. You don't necessarily do it for the returns, but it is a law. What you put out comes back to you. So as a result of expressing your greatness, then what happens is that more and more rewards come to you, more and more well-being comes to you, and you live a very harmonious and purposeful life. And so I talked about it in that video. Identifying your greatness, expressing your greatness, and working on your subconscious mind to remove, as Earl Nightingale puts it, the fetters of the mind, allows you to express, identify, and it's a continuum, by the way. You identify your greatness, you start to get hunches and inspirations, and then you continue down the journey and you understand more what your greatness is. And as mentioned, each greatness, or the greatness of each individual, is individual based. It might not be something that you are inspired by in another person to the degree of you model them in the exact totality. And what I mean by that is, maybe in the start of the journey, you might find some mentors or individuals that you really want to model after. They are expressing their own greatness. So, you get started with that. Then somewhere along the journey, you discover what, there's many words for how this is explained. Some say finding your voice. You find your voice. I now say find your greatness, or whatever way you want to look at it. And this happens, and you start to find little pieces, little indicators. For me, it is this working with the mind stuff. It's always been fascinating to me since I was a child, but it is one of my elements of greatness. As in, I know this area so deep, beyond most people that I meet, and I understand it at such a deep level. When I share it, the audience, you, through my programs, my students receive it and say, wow, you know this stuff so well. You explain it in such a unique way. I've never heard it explained this way. I know this stuff, and you help me understand it better by explaining a certain way. Anyways, that's all part of my own greatness, and we each have this. So our goal is to identify what this greatness is, to identify with the greatness, express the greatness, and then we'll continuously be identifying more and more elements of our greatness and expressing the greatness, and the external world will receive it, and we are rewarded for it, whatever it is. The other video I did was on, what was the other video I did? I did the purpose video, definiteness of purpose. Well, you've got your definite chief aim, and you've got definiteness of purpose. What is definiteness of purpose? Well, Napoleon Hill describes it a certain way, and I built it on the foundation. And I look at it from the perspective of, what do I say when it comes to definite chief aim? Well, I've got my definite chief aim, and I believe that everything is harmonious to creating that definite chief aim. The moment you set a definite chief aim, you make a spiritual commitment. You say, I'm going to create this. I will create it. It already exists in reality, and I'm going to move into the state that represents it so I could see it in reality, so I could live it in reality. And as Neville puts it, a bridge of incidences will occur. You'll be doing things, you'll attract people, you'll be navigating reality, and then you will reach your destination, the realization of your vision. That is to have brought forth the definite chief aim. Now, bringing forth the definite chief aim is one of my, it's essentially my focal point, always. Always I have a definite chief aim, and my goal is always to bring it forth. And it's not just about bringing it forth, it's who I become in the journey. I reveal my own greatness. I express my own greatness. And part of bringing forth the definite chief aim is the identifying and the realization and the expression of your greatness. Now let's take it a step further with definiteness of purpose. So with definiteness of purpose, what we're saying is everything in your life is purposeful and related to your definite chief aim. The people in your life, the information within your awareness, everything within your awareness is related to your definite chief aim. And our goal is to appreciate everything. Even if on the surface we might not appreciate it, we have to dig deeper a little bit and find the deeper meaning of how it contributes to the definite chief aim. And this is a person can do this to a high degree, is going to have the burning desire to create the definite chief aim. They're going to be able to create it, but not from a place of force, a place of real power. Real power does not include physical, mental, or emotional force. It does not include manipulation. It does not even include a level of trying. And I'm being very nuanced about this, okay, when I say trying. I'm talking about inertia-based getting from the world and trying to take. This world is a reflection of the subconscious mind. The changes happen within. We change everything within, and our behaviors change. The way we interact with the world, the bridge of incidence changes as a result of changing within. When a person focuses on changing within, they will be more harmonious within, and harmoniousness will be how they navigate reality. And this is a continuum. So definiteness of purpose is saying that everything is contributing to my definite chief aim. I understand that everything is helping me move towards my definite chief aim. I'm going to link cause and effect in my life to learning, experience, and motivating factors and all the other elements we talk about related to my definite chief aim. The people, environment, circumstance, everything within my awareness. As I sit here in downtown Toronto and I look outside the window, I see snow. Last week I saw a beach and sun. And if you ask for my preference, what do I prefer to see outside? I would say I would rather see a beach and sun. Then the question becomes, why do you see snow out there? Can you just move there? Well, there are other elements of me being here that require me to be here that are part of my definite chief aim. And anytime I can pack my bags and go to a destination, however I choose to be here, this snow is related to my definite chief aim because it's contributing to me being in this location right now while I focus on tasks. And I know myself. When I have a certain environment, I'm a lot more focused. For what I have to do for this week, it is required for me to be here. And so I appreciate that snow right now because even though it's not a beach and sun, I appreciate it because what I'm doing right now is exactly where I have to be. Would I love to be at a beach right now, sitting on the sand? Actually, no, I'd rather be right here because this is a contributing factor and everything is related to my definite chief aim. This is where my awareness is. So that's the idea. It's going into all situations in your life and seeing how it is related to your definite chief aim. And then everything becomes purposeful. Every circumstance is purposeful. Every person is purposeful. Every environment is purposeful. And that is the realization of acres of diamonds, Russell Conwell. We are all sitting on our own acres of diamonds. Now, that stated, as you start to reflect upon this and go back to that video that I made, it was just released on Sunday, it's doing pretty well, we start to become even more purposeful. Life has more meaning. The different elements of life have more meaning. Now, this is not just a theory. This is not a theory that I'm just coming up with. This is a result of constant reflection and practice and implementation of whatever I share in my videos. I've tested it. I tested it on myself, I tested it on my clients, and I tested repeatedly, and it produces results. And what are the results? Well, the results is the realization of the definite chief aim, the remaining in flow towards my definite chief aim because I have a greater sense of joy and appreciation for everything that shows up. And the realization that while in flow, and I had this conversation yesterday with a client, hunches, inspiration, and different elements that are beyond, you can say miracles occur. For me, miracles occur when I'm in a certain state. Now, what is that state? There's many different states. Neville talks about the Bible and the Bible characters representing spiritual states. And some say, no, they're actual people that actually lived. Well, they can be both. They could be people that actually lived, and they could represent spiritual states. And I believe that they're both. And the spiritual state is the part that we want to really put emphasis on, because the state is within. So whatever state we identify within is expressed outwards, and we receive the equivalent of that state. So when I'm in flow state, where challenge meets skill, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying what I do, and I love what I do, and I don't want to be anywhere else, because all the greatest happiness for me is where I am right now. And all the greatest happiness for you is where you are right now. When we are in that state of appreciation and in the process of flow, that's when we start to see miracles happen. That's where, as much as I explain this and we're putting this in a logical sequence, there's things that go beyond logical explanation. Yet, maybe one day we'll be able to logically explain. One of my favorite sayings, I say it a lot. Steve Jobs said it: you cannot connect the dots looking forward, you connect them looking backwards. Well, sometimes you can connect them looking forward. But a lot of times you'll find that how you got to the destination, if you reverse engineer, a lot of the elements that showed up, or the people that showed up, you had no idea they were going to show up. Did you plan to be on this session 10 years ago? Did you know it was going to exist? It showed up, and it's a contributing factor towards your definite chief aim. These kind of things happen when you're in flow. So as a result of staying in flow, I experience these things more often. And having definiteness of purpose allows you to maintain the flow. So that's the starting off soliloquy to calibrate. Sherry, can you give us a few examples? What is your purpose and definite chief aim? What other ones have you seen? So I have a definite chief aim right now. And the definite chief aim is a certain number-based financial business goal, daily number. And in all my business activities and initiatives that I do, my goal is to hit that daily number. And this daily number, I have set it up this way for a specific reason. I'm testing it to see what happens and what's the difference between setting a yearly goal or monthly goal or a daily goal. And what I found, and I've tested all of these, is that I like the daily goal. Now, the daily goal doesn't mean that I'm going to just every day try to make this number happen. There is criteria to make it happen. Quality of service, quantity of service, and spirit of service. Ikigai, doing what I love to do, what I'm good at, what the world needs, and what I can get paid for. And various other elements that I have said are my principles for life on how I achieve this number. And I'm also, more so than ever before, linking all areas of my life harmoniously and holistically towards that goal. See, I've talked to a few individuals, and I remember when I was in this state of mind, where they're not able to see how a business number goal is harmonious to their health, fitness, well-being, and other areas of their life, because they separate it. They say, well, this is the business area of my life, and this is the other areas of life. Yes, they are separate areas of their life, and they are also one area of your life. Everything is one. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Everything is and isn't at the same time. One of my favorite sayings from the Kabbalion, which means that we want to be integral with all areas of our life, and we can be integral. And when we are integral, then every area of our life contributes to that definite chief aim. Now, I will say that as a result of doing it this way, setting that specific daily number goal, I made far more progress this year and also hit that number many times. Thus, overall, the numbers of the business have been higher than ever before. Joy and happiness have been higher than any time in my life before. Growth factors in all areas of my life, health, fitness, relationships, business, friendship, how I navigate reality, the the contributions I make on this channel. Everything has gone up, and you can even see it because you will see if you go to Social Blade that this year the channel has grown tremendously. The daily views are up, subscribers, daily subscriber average is up, everything is up. All numbers are up because everything is related to that specific number goal. Everything contributes to it. All areas of your life, all areas of my life. When I walk down the street, it is a contributing factor towards that one single definite achievement. Now, as mentioned, you could do this if you want, but you could do a monthly goal, you could do a yearly goal, a number-based goal. My reason for doing that is because I'm focused on cultivating entrepreneurs, and I'm always looking for better ways of helping entrepreneurs hit their goals. And so I realized that by getting an entrepreneur to be very focused on a specific number-based goal and what it represents is not just the number, it's how you go about achieving a number. Because you can make number, you can hit your numbers in a positive way or a negative way. My goal is to help entrepreneurs hit the number in a positive way. Benefit for them, benefit for others, and benefit for divine and evolution. Holistic, harmoniously, in all areas of their life, in all the people that they interact with. Clients, their vendors, their staff, everyone. Harmonious, to the best of the ability, and it's a growth process. So that's how I do it. That's my daily definite chief aim. It's a specific number. And my purpose is to cultivate entrepreneurs, is to spread this information of how the subconscious mind is the primary factor. See, I want to share a little background with you. I had always been fascinated by making money and being an entrepreneur because I come from a humble beginnings. We didn't have much. So I did not want to be broke. And so, I did a lot of things to learn about how money works and so forth. And I made it a primary focus. And as a result, I started to look and identify that there was many ways of making money. And I said, I also want it to be harmonious. I want everything to be harmonious in my life. I don't want to just create something where I'm taking from the world and getting money as a result of taking, the taking energy. I said, what is the reason money was created? Money was created as a medium to exchange products and services. I have a product, you have a product. Maybe I don't want your product because I don't get utilization out of it, but you want mine. So you give me some money, I give you my product, and then I go to somebody else who has a product that I do want to buy or a service I want to buy. Money is the bridge to exchange different forms of value. That's what it is. That's what it was created to do. And over the years, there's been many distorted uses of money, like with anything. And so I said to myself, what is a clean philosophy to have surrounding money? And by adopting that philosophy, what kind of results I have? Well, the results are harmoniousness. Harmoniousness within and harmoniousness in the external world. And valuing this is an important element of entrepreneurship. So I realized that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have this education. They don't have access to this kind of philosophy that drives everything they do. They might, at a deep level, have a good heart and way of going about things, but they don't necessarily have the support in all these different areas. So my purpose is to create this support through these videos, through my coaching, through my consulting, through my trainings and so forth, to evolve the world of entrepreneurship to be more holistic. Not just, here's this product I sell that is needed and useful and I'm going to get money for it, but to realize that as an entrepreneur, all areas of your life is important and harmonious, and you are an example. You are an example for others, because if you are a harmonious example through the spirit of entrepreneurship, then you will attract more entrepreneurs. So that's my purpose. And how I live out my purpose is by doing exactly what I just said. I have my daily definite chief aim number, and I follow it within my principles that I have outlined, my criteria for doing business, harmonious business, and all the, there's a lot of these nuance points. There's a whole list of them, and all areas of my life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And then as a result of that, I live a life that is joyous, blissful, more so than ever before, more harmonious than ever before. Things come up. Yes, circumstances come up. Challenges are there, and I love them because challenges are opportunities for me to grow. And then what I can do is I can develop myself in those experiences, those challenges, and grow to the next level, which, by the way, then increases all the other numbers. And yes, in the process, I find joy, love, fun, and all those things. See, we can have it all. Each person is destined, in my opinion, to identify their greatness, should they choose to want to identify their greatness and express their greatness. It's their choice. And in the journey, they create, they make a livelihood, they contribute to others, they enjoy life. And it can be done from a place of joy, from a place of love, from a place of happiness. I know so. And I also know contrast. I know at a time in my life when I was not like that. I was making it more about the money, or I was making it more about one thing and neglecting everything else. And then I realized something very interesting. By making it more harmonious and more holistic, everything moves forward in a compounding nature. Let's even use a simple example. If an entrepreneur focuses on making money and neglects their health, they're going to have a hard time doing a lot of business deals because they're going to be overly stressed out because their body can't handle that experience and the body assumes it as trauma. They might also experience a lot of other things as a result of neglecting their health. Might not be getting enough sleep. They might not be eating the proper nourishing foods. A lot of things might happen to them as a result of not taking care of that area, which is going to throttle the level of contribution they make as an entrepreneur. Now, to each their own, but I realize that I want to be the best that I can be. I want to continuously identify my greatness and express my greatness, and I encourage everyone to do the same. And in order to do it at a really high level, you have to look after that area of your life as well. Now, when you look after that area of your life, you'll have more energy, you have more focus, you have more self-discipline, you find more flow, you have a lot more passion because you got all these neurotransmitters and dopamine and whatnot flooding your system. Now you have a harmonious relationship. That's going to be a contributing factor to what you're doing, plus what you're doing is a contributing factor to that relationship that you have. And you start to look at all areas of your life and you see everything contributes and accelerates you forward harmoniously. And this is not a theory. This is how I am living and I continue to live. And I have gotten many on this journey as well. And they're noticing more and more harmoniousness. This is how I believe we're designed to be. And scarcity-based thinking, fear-based thinking, doubt-based thinking, indecision-based thinking prevents us from seeing this possibility or not believing in the possibility. And we don't have to, this doesn't happen for, well, I don't want to say, because I believe all things are possible, that it can't happen overnight. I believe all things are possible. For me, it has not happened overnight. It's been a journey, but now it's being more of an accelerated, exponential journey for me in accelerated returns because of the harmoniousness. Okay, so let's look at some submitted questions here. So Alon, you say, despite your written goals, every now and then I get into a spin where I become moody and start doubting everything, including my definite chief aim. Does this happen to you as well? And what do you suggest? Yes, more so in the beginning of the journey, everything being harmonious towards your definite chief aim by saying, how can I learn from whatever circumstance shows up? Like look at the current circumstances that show up today and say, what can I learn from this? And where does the learning need to occur? So I'm a huge fan of the Robert Dilts model, and you're a student in my program, so I refer to that a lot. And watch that video I did on my channel, the Robert Dilts model, because it allows you to take whatever you're going through in life, like the feeling the mood or doubt or whatever, and say, where does this reside in the Robert Dilts model? Is it a vision-based thing? Is it an identity-based element? Is it a values and beliefs? Is it capabilities? Do I have to acquire a certain capability? And by the way, subconscious mind reconditioning and working with your own mind is a capability. There are tools, resources that are available, models, mental models to conceptually, to mentally get yourself to be a certain way and deal with certain things from a mental level, emotional level, physical level, starting with the mind within. Is it a behavioral element? What causes the behavior? Is it an environmental piece? Why are we in that environment? This is about self-reflection. And what I've learned in this journey is accumulating as many tools as I can without being overly complex. I have fundamental tools that I use to evolve myself in each area of the Robert Dilts model. So what do I mean? Well, in the Robert Dilts model on the top, you have the vision. Vision being that what you want to create, your definite chief aim, your imaginal state, the desire that you have, the reality you want to step into, the state that represents is not necessarily the vision, but in your mind that you can see the state, and then you want to at an identity level represent the state. But let's just say the vision. First is the vision, what you want to create. The next is identity. This is where we get into the state. The identity has to be the state that represents the vision. So you're evolving yourself at a deep identity level, which is, getting into the subconscious related elements, self-image, self-love, self-acceptance. Someone might say they want to create the vision, but their identity is contrarian to that vision. They don't really believe it's possible. And that's okay, because you can evolve yourself. Because I know I set goals and I didn't believe it was possible when I set the goals, but I stayed persistent with it. I said, I'm going to persist with this, not from a place of force, but sometimes I did use a bit of force and try to get myself to do things. I find that there's better ways of doing things now than force. That's why we talk about these things more at a mental level, at a subconscious level right now, because when the subconscious mind, the identity evolves within, you find yourself not using force to create things that you want. You'll create it in other ways outside of forceful ways. And a lot of times we think that that's the only way to create, because the subconscious mind is so saturated with the idea and the belief that force is the only way. Physical, mental, emotional force is the only way, that no matter what that person sees in their reality, they see validation to using mental or emotional or physical force as the way to get what they want. But that is one way, and it is not a harmonious way, because that way it comes from an inner tension and all those lower levels of emotions that are on that emotional guidance scale that I posted a video on in this back office here. There's effects for those kinds of ways of navigating reality. Okay, so identity needs to get evolved. We've evolved our identity. We bring it in alignment with the vision. That's part of the journey. Next, we've got the values and beliefs. What do we believe? How do we believe reality to work? As I mentioned about money, that was a big one for me. I had all kinds of belief systems that were inharmonious surrounding money. And now I have aligned them so harmoniously that nobody can sit there and convince me about it being otherwise. And if they say that that is otherwise, no, money is the root of all evil, all these different things, I will say, thank you for sharing your opinion, because it is their opinion. See, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and how they think creates their reality, and that's okay with me. And if it's okay with them, then it's okay with them. I have chosen to adopt a harmonious view surrounding money, or any form of compensation for that matter. Bitcoin, barter, whatever, harmoniousness. And I have proven it to be so. See, it's one thing for me to just have it in my mind and just go through my entire life as an entrepreneur, not producing results, assuming that same belief. Then I would say, well, there's something going on there. But because I produce results and I continue to produce results with the harmonious thinking, then I'm going to hold true to that. And perhaps one day I'll evolve it, but right now it's doing really well, the harmonious relationship. So that's done at a values and beliefs level. Now, some of these areas can be complex. I've dedicated a lot of time studying this information. So we get into this in coaching and consulting. But I recommend, studying, reading books, watching videos, making a study of how you operate, how you are identifying elements within your identity and your subconscious mind, values and beliefs, and how to evolve those areas. The Pruning Shears of Revision video that I did on Neville Goddard is a great way of evolving identity. Why? Because the identity is formed by what we assimilate or what we impress on our subconscious mind. What is impressed on our subconscious mind will create an identity. And so we always want to question what is going in our subconscious mind. Is it harmonious? Is it empowering? Is it aligned with our vision? If it's aligned with our vision, it's harmonious and empowering, then it's safe to assume that when you allow that to impress in your subconscious mind, it will build the equivalent identity. Identity is kind of like a paradigm. It's a multitude of different ideas, philosophies, behaviors, and so forth. When the identity evolves, the paradigm evolves, the person evolves and becomes in alignment with the vision or not with the vision as a result of the paradigm shift. So that's something we want to do as well. Then we have our capabilities. What are the skills you have to cultivate? So is there areas when you're doubting that are skill-based areas? What are you doubting? Inability to sell, inability to market, your ability to lead teams, the ability to serve the marketplace. Well, there's many people that are able to do that quite harmoniously. Can you acquire the skills of doing that? See, so we're using the Robert Dilts model to bring us back into the cause-based thinking. See, there's two primary ways of thinking: cause and effect. Do you believe that the world is happening to you, or are you happening to the world? Are you creating your reality, or is the reality influencing you and creating you, and you feel disempowered as a result? And when you feel doubts and the moodiness, you're essentially feeling as the effect. And that's okay, because that's programming that exists in your subconscious mind, and you work and you release it little bit by little bit. So of course it happens to me, because the higher you raise the bar, what I find is that I'm more and more confronted by elements within myself that I have accumulated in my past that I still identify with. And I'm so happy that I have challenged, because that's where the mirror shows up and reveals to me what is going on within me. And then I can use the Robert Dilts model and all the philosophies that I put in my trainings and what I share in my videos, the totality, because I always aim to express everything that I use to change those elements. So capabilities will change. Behaviors. Is it a behavioral thing? Do you find yourself constantly, I'll give you a great example. I did timeline regression with one of my clients. One of the symptoms that I had, one of the behaviors, let's look at the behavior. One of the behaviors that I had that I was not feeling very harmonious with is that I used to take naps. And we're talking, this is just a handful of months ago. I used to take naps, and then I'd wake up and I would feel guilty and shameful for taking those naps because I wasn't being productive. And as much as I was going about, being very efficient and so forth, there was this one area that would always slip through the cracks. But then she asked me, she says, let's pick anything. And I said, let's pick that. And then she was able to go through her timeline regression process and identify that it came from certain childhood experience that I had in which I felt shame. Shame was still existent in my subconscious mind at that level of caliber or that level of degree. And it expressed itself during this time, during my workday, where I would go take naps and then wake up feeling shameful. Shame materialized itself in that experience. So she changed that within. And then what I found was I was not taking as much naps because I did not want to experience the shame again, number one. So I didn't really need to take all those naps. I was just doing it so I could create that, replay that theater of shame, number one. Number two, is I did still take naps, and I do still take naps, but I know when to take naps. And I am okay with taking those naps because then I need those naps. And I know that taking naps is great for me. I feel energized. Sometimes taking a nap, I feel great. The difference is now I don't shame myself anymore. Now that was an element related to the behavior. We identified a behavior. Use a Robert Dilts model. It was a behavioral thing. But it wasn't about forcefully changing the behavior. It was about going deeper within and seeing where it comes from. Well, that came from an identity level thing. So I'm sharing with you high level. I hope this is giving you some insights here to recognize that that's okay. It's okay that you're doubting yourself. It's okay that you're feeling moody. It's okay. These things happen way more so in my journey in the beginning because I have gone in and changed identity-based elements that cause those things to happen. And you'll do the same. This is a journey. And as you remove those things, which you'll start to notice, as you'll have less doubt. So as I say, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about fears, doubts, and indecision. That's not what we want to be encouraging. Well, fears, doubts, and indecision a lot of times are symptoms of an identity-based element from our past. And when we change that identity-based element, we'll find we're more decisive, we have less fears, or I should say, less grip on the fears. Here's why. Here's why I say that, because I've been reflecting upon this. I believe fears are relative, and fear exists in, for example, fear of criticism. Let's use another example. I want to give you a good example so it really emphasizes what I'm talking about when I say relative. Fear of ill health. That's a good one, a recent one. Okay, for me, the other day I hurt my back. I was in the gym and I was not paying attention to my form, and I pulled my lower back and I was on my back for a whole day. At that point, in that moment, I felt powerless. All of a sudden, I have this way of going about looking. I have a predominant way of going about looking at reality that I'm the cause, and all of a sudden I felt boom at the effect. And then fearful thoughts started to show up. Now, because I've been meditating upon this stuff and really reflecting upon it, I had enough presence of mind to say, this is a lesson. This is related to my definite chief aim. It was challenging, but that in that moment, I had a greater grip on the fear of ill health. Right now I don't, because the back is fine. I'm going to the gym right afterwards. Not there. Fearlessly, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. I'm going to maintain proper form, yes. But in certain situations, fear can be a lot more gripping. In some situations where you don't have fear, in that same kind of situation, in another context, that fear will show up. Fear of rejection or fear of criticism. Let's look at that one. You might not feel fear of criticism when you're on this session with me. But if you go and do a public speaking event, maybe you'll feel fear of criticism. So in that situation, the contrast creates this level of fear that shows up all of a sudden. Now, the repetition and working with the Robert Dilts model to evolve yourself in that situation, because I know I've done it. I used to have fear, petrified of public speaking. But now I can just show up. If you said to me, we have an event, 500 people, Joseph, they all know about your channel. I want you to go speak over there. In 15 minutes, I will go and speak over there, excited all the way through. Whereas maybe 15 years ago, I'd be petrified. I'd be like making excuses. I'd say, I'm not ready. I don't know what to talk about. All kinds of things like that. The repetition allowed me to get over the fear. Now, when you get over that fear, there might be other areas still where you can feel that fear of criticism. So let's say you're over public speaking, but around certain individuals who may appear very intimidating, not are intimidating, may appear very intimidating, all of a sudden you get fear of criticism. So the idea behind this is that fears are relative, and our goal is to evolve ourselves to overcome our fears in relation towards a definite chief aim. So I'm not interested personally in getting rid of all my fears to the point where, I don't know, I can walk up on that skyscraper and lean off the edge, hanging off the building. Not my interest. I am interested in overcoming my fears related to my definite chief aim. So we use the Robert Dilts model again. So that's my long way of explaining this, what happens, the moodiness, the doubts, and so forth, and creating a portfolio of tools, notes of different methods that you could do to help you overcome this. And there's many of them, even down to like something very pragmatic, like the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Sometimes you feel the fear. You just got to say, count from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. Train yourself to realize that in that context, that fearful outcome is highly unlikely. Many different tools. Create those tools for you and utilize them on the journey. If you experience a persistent doubt showing up, it needs to be addressed because it'll continue showing up. And if you have a tool to address this, then you'll overcome it. And then you'll have the ability to navigate whatever that scenario is that shows up, or similar scenarios, with ease. You no longer doubt those situations. There are many situations where I used to have fear, doubt, and indecision surrounding them that now I just breeze right through them. And it'll be the same for you. Next question. So Smitha, you have been following self-development for the last couple of years and made progress in your life, like creating a blog on spirituality and learning Reiki, but you find yourself lacking in motivation and procrastinating a lot of the goals. I believe you could benefit by watching my my definiteness of purpose video. The reason why is because one of my favorite exercises, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the video, there's so many of them, but to overcome procrastination and lack of motivation, I call it the 7 whys. I created this exercise and I used it in scenarios that were very fearful to get me to do the fearful thing so I can break patterns of fear. And the idea behind it is that, okay, let's say you find yourself you're going to sit down and do a task, but you don't have the motivation and you're procrastinating and whatnot. You ask yourself, how does me doing this task contribute to the other areas of my life that are very important to me? And I'm talking motivationally important. Your family, your friends, your relationship, your health, your fitness, all those areas that are so important to you. How does doing this contribute to those areas? You might say, by me sitting down and doing this task, it will improve my relationship with my spouse and with my boyfriend, with my girlfriend. Why so? Because I'll speak from my experience, my girlfriend likes it when I am decisive. She's into it. She's attracted to me based on my decisiveness. She's always been. And if I am not being decisive here and doing the action, then I am not I'm not being the person that is contributing towards her happiness, and her happiness is very important to me. And I also realize that when we have a happy relationship, all other areas of my life are also harmonious. So everything contributes to that, and that contributes to everything else. Now all of a sudden I'm getting more excited to do the task. Now do this with other areas of your life. 7 reasons why. And you can even use the negative if you'd like. I like the positive, but you can also use the negative, as in what would happen if you don't do it. Well, what are the outcomes? You don't make progress. For me, one of the biggest motivating factors of what will not happen is that I won't be living my philosophy. See, these discussions are very important to me because over here I have the opportunity to assist you on your journey, to evolve you, to help you achieve your results. And I have the opportunity in my videos, and I have the opportunity in my trainings, and I have the opportunity in my coaching calls, and I have these opportunities all day long to assist others on their journey. But I can never assist them until I am living the philosophy as Neville put it, to the degree that you are self-persuaded, they will become so. In order for me to be self-persuaded, I have to live my philosophy. So I cannot have a certain degree of lack of motivation unless it's warranted. If I need a vacation, I need a vacation, fine. But I cannot be procrastinating and motivating, because that would be a disservice to those that I serve. Then I wouldn't be living the philosophy, and then I can't share my insights like I am with you right now. And that's a huge one for me. And right then and there, I want to do the task. So sit there and create this for you and report back on the next call. I believe this will be really helpful for you, and also help you to go down the journey of that definiteness of purpose. And another thing you want to do is subconscious mind reconditioning. You want to affirm to yourself the state or that what you aspire to be. So you say, I find myself more and more motivated each day to do the things that I know I have to do to bring forth my definite chief aim. As a result of whatever shows up within my awareness that I have to do, I feel more motivation, excitement, and joy within. This increases every day. And you want to do an affirmation like this. I'm not sure if you're a student of my subconscious mind training program, but when you affirm that and you do it in a state akin to sleep, then you'll start to believe that, and you'll start to feel that in those moments. And then when you feel it in the moments, you affirm it. You say, wow, this is working. And then you build upon it. So that's two ways of doing it. Mike, I've been thinking about the difference between the distinction between the superconscious and the subconscious. Most self-help books talk about the subconscious and its power. Yet the superconscious connection is critical to the optimal development of the conscious self. The superconscious inspires and guides. The subconscious responds, develops, manifests. I'll try to make the call. Okay, so the difference between superconscious and subconscious. Here's my view on it from the relationship that I have built with my conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. My superconscious is infinite intelligence. It is a higher power. It is what created everything that exists in reality. It is God. It is the ultimate knowingness of everything, the infinite intelligence. And that's the superconscious mind. And what I have learned is that within my subconscious mind, I have a storehouse of all accumulated knowledge, wisdom, experience that I can access by querying my subconscious mind. And if it's not there, I will build a connection, or I will get it from the superconscious. It will come to me from infinite intelligence. The differentiating factor between the subconscious and superconscious is the superconscious has the ability to do things beyond what we have accumulated in this lifetime that is stored in the subconscious. Ideas and hunches and inspirations and abilities to draw people in the most sophisticated ways. Like, for example, you're walking down the street and you just happen to attract the person that is going to help you with your business. It seems so random, but it was synchronicity. I'll give you a synchronicity example that happened yesterday, which was very much a superconscious. Superconscious showed up to me and said, I want you to learn about parallel realities. Just like that. I felt it. And then all of a sudden I did what I do. Is I go on YouTube and search parallel realities, and I start watching videos. And I remember Joseph Ally talking about elements like that, and everyone is talking to me about, well, everything already exists, and we move into states to reveal it. And there's simultaneous realities. And I'm doing this thing in one reality, and I'm doing other things in other realities, infinite possibilities. And right now, the awareness is what I'm doing right now. And so I believe that this is all that exists. But if I open up my mind to believe in parallel realities, then I'm able to create results a lot faster, because then I say that it already exists and I move into the state in where it exists. I said, that's very fascinating. I like that. It's a very empowered way of looking at reality, looking at life. So I started researching it. And I came across some fascinating content. I started to notice paradigm shifts, perspective shifts that were more empowering, evolving me into a higher degree of consciousness. Then all of a sudden, I did, most recent videos, and my friend Aaron Doty posts a video on the topic. And I was like, wow, this is synchronicity right here. And then I go over there, watch the video, and the first 1 minute, he mentions my name. He said, my buddy Joseph Rodriguez and I were talking about this the other day. And I was like, how synchronistic All of these events seem very unlikely, but they were guided by the superconscious. See, that is superconscious can be so hard to explain and define, but it is, again, Steve Jobs said it, can't connect the dots looking forward, but by looking backwards, synchronicities and certain miracles and unexpected quantum leaps that just show up, those possibilities that defy all level of understanding that exists within the subconscious right now, that is a superconscious mind. And to build a relationship with the superconscious mind is to open up the subconscious mind to the possibility that can be true. So if you want to access more of that superconscious that has the ability to manifest in those miraculous ways, which is infinite intelligence, then we open up the connection to that in our subconscious mind by removing doubts, fears, and indecision surrounding it. And in the Bible, Jesus said it really well. Some key philosophies that you want to meditate upon. All things are possible. All things are possible. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Boom, open up the connection. And you have to really believe that one in the subconscious. And boom, you've opened up a connection to superconscious because you believe all things are possible. And the infinite intelligence will support you in revealing to you ways that you've never been experienced or taught or educated on before to bring forth your definite chief aim, in part or in whole. Number 2, the kingdom of heaven is within you, as in all exists within you. You have the ability to attract whatever harmoniousness within you. Open up that connection to superconscious. And the other one was, what was the other one? As you believe, so it shall be done unto you. As you believe, so it shall be done unto you means that if you believe that you can access the superconscious, then it will be done unto you. If you believe you have access to infinite intelligence and infinite intelligence will show up to you, it will happen. You can even do an affirmation that will allow your subconscious to bring forth infinite intelligence. You can say, subconscious mind, I realize that you are the connection to infinite intelligence. Reveal to me at your earliest convenience signs, hunches, inspirations, synchronicities that prove the presence of infinite intelligence. When I receive that, I will have firmer faith. And then that faith will be impressed upon you, and we will build a connection to the superconscious. Yes, you're right. There isn't a lot of talk about superconscious. I believe we're going to see more and more of it. I talk about it more and more. I think our consciousness is rising up to a point. No, not think. I know our consciousness is rising up to a point where we're starting to feel more of this connection to superconscious. A lot more people are talking about manifesting and these kind of mystical ways of bringing forth reality that go beyond, as Neville Goddard puts it, the world of Caesar, which is the world of force and doing all kinds of things. Instead, we rely on the power of God, which is imagination. So Sherry, you had shared the question. I see that you've submitted over here, but let's see if there's any other elements to your question that I have not answered. Okay, I want to emphasize this one point here where you say, this dream that you have, this vision that you have, seems like an impossible dream, puts you in a panic mode, and puts you in a state of fear. There's a lot of things that I live right now that I once believed were impossible. I wanted it to be so, but I still had that impossibility. And as I'm sitting here and reflecting upon what I just said about all things are possible to him that believeth, well, that's a state that one has to grow into. I always used to say growing up as a kid, all things are possible, all things are possible. I was always affirming it. But I became more and more embedded in it as I started to produce increments of the result leading to the end result. In other words, synchronicities, and different elements of progress towards my definite chief aim were affirming factors that all things are possible. And so the way I would like you to look at this, and try it and let me know, is I want you to look at the progress that you're making towards the definite chief aim, that what you desire, and see every day you're making progress. Every week you're making progress. Every month you're making progress. By affirming the progress that we're making, we put more attention and awareness on those elements that cause the progress, and that impresses itself in the subconscious mind. And then we get greater hunches, sources of inspiration that show up, synchronicities, and action items that are related, that we move forward on to continuously bring forth that what we desire. And we do it more in a state of flow. Because when we focus on those areas, the progress that we're making, then what we'll realize is that, wait a second, there is a plan here. I'm making progress. And if I identify with fear, then I'm going in a different direction. And it's okay if fear shows up. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to overcome fear by training my mind to reorient it over to the positive thought, the gratitude. This is the school of the mind, training the mind. One of the greatest skills that we can develop is the ability to train our mind, the ability to pick one thought versus the other, and not from a place of force, but from a place of understanding. If it's a persistent thought, then we have to understand where it comes from. Maybe we have to do some subconscious mind reconditioning or timeline regression or something to evolve some elements that are deeply rooted within us, because it's simply not enough to just forcefully, or not forcefully, but shift our thought in a different direction. Maybe it's something deeper that's persistent. A good place to start is the 7-Day Mental Diet by Emmett Fox, which is now becoming a very popular video on my channel. And the idea behind it is, when you get a negative thought, is not to dwell upon it and shift it over to positive thought. One of my favorite methods is what I learned from The Strangest Secret. I pick up my definite chief aim and I keep my definite chief aim with me. And if a negative thought shows up that I started dwelling upon, I now have the ability to switch it in my mind over to gratitude or how much progress I've made or so forth, and then orient myself. But if I'm having difficulty with that, I pull up my definite chief aim like a knee-jerk reaction and read my definite chief aim. And right then and there, I go back into the what can be done, and then I move forward. Alon, do you find your greatness or do you develop it? There has always been within you hunches of that what you do better than anyone else, unique abilities that you have. It is there. Want to stop, reflect every now and then, maybe even take some notes of those areas that are important to us. It's the things that Ikigai is a great model. You'll find yourself inherently good at those things. You'll find yourself excited about cultivating those skills, and you'll find that people will want to receive those. For me, IT was one of them. I'm very proficient with IT skills, and I have a great ability to resolve a lot of things in the IT world. And I was very passionate about it. And a lot of people, when I was growing up, used to ask me to fix their computers, and people would want that. And I used to think to myself, I don't really want to do this because of whatever reason. But the bottom line was this, it was my greatness. And when I started to embrace it, it became the thing that allowed me to propel in my career in IT, in corporate, and then build my IT business. And it's something that I'm very good at. I almost have a sixth sense when it comes to technology. When people bring me their technological issues, I just have some way of going about fixing it. I'm really good at it. For me, the next thing was communication. When I communicated at earlier stages of my life from a place that I communicate right now, people would listen. But I never understood how this stuff works. So when I did not communicate this way, people would not listen, and I would just assume that that was my default. So there are little signs that you have. Reflect upon them. And then, yes, you develop them. Now, the beautiful thing is you are excited to develop them. And now this also goes another level deeper, because there were certain elements within myself that are my greatness that I was shy to express because I did not appreciate and love myself the way I do right now. And I would not want to express it, because as a result of expressing it, I would receive love from the external world. And my subconscious mind was oriented from a place of lack of self-love. So I actually created a barrier to prevent me from expressing that. Then I went on working on evolving my self-love, self-appreciation, what to say when you talk to yourself, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, and how to be your own best friend. Then I started to notice that all these patterns, I have these things that I'm really good at. And every time I would express myself, I would materialize the external world trying to get me to shut up or be quiet. It's not them, it's me. I am creating that in the external world based on not feeling that I can express myself. Now, by increasing the self-love, self-appreciation, what you'll start to notice is that all of a sudden those people or other people, those people might not be there, but other people will show up who want to receive what you have to say. And this is the case here. We're here because you want to hear what I have to say because it benefits you. It's not because I sound nice, but because it benefits you. Well, that's my greatness. My greatness that I share benefits you and unlocks and reveals your greatness. If I did not love and appreciate myself, I would not be willing to accept at a subconscious level the love and appreciation I get right now from the emails, the comments, and the subscribers, I would not be able to receive it because I wouldn't think that I was worth that. And because I wouldn't think that I was worth it, in the external world, I would come up with some story as to why I should not cultivate it. But the truth is, I know. So I'm giving you some clues and some insights here. So that's a great one. Use EFT and tapping within 10 minutes and the pain was gone. Now, this is great. And this is very much harmonious and related to the premise of the discussion. You see, in our journey, we can simplify things and say, here's our definite chief aim. We want definiteness of purpose towards our definite chief aim. And during the journey, that's where the fun is. The fun is achieving, yes. The fun is also on the journey. Why so? Because you could take the Robert Dilts model and say, where can I evolve here and what tool can I use? You could use EFT. You could use subconscious mind reprogramming. You could use timeline regression. You could use pruning shears of revision. You could use reframing. You could talk to yourself different. You could do there's so many tools in personal development. And what you want to do is create a portfolio of tools for you in each area of the Robert Dilts model. There's many things that I do to create the vision. There's many things that I do to evolve the identity. And I've shared many of them on this call and all throughout the previous recordings and in my trainings and in my videos. There's many things I do to evolve my values and beliefs. And there's many things that you'll find that will work for you. There's many things that will, capabilities that will allow you to solve problems that you have as tools. It's the beautiful thing about personal development is there's all these tools available to help you move forward. So I would reflect and see what works for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sign off now. This has been a great session, and I apologize for that little mishap about the technology with that other webinar that I had, the original stream that I had set up. The audio didn't show up, and hopefully that doesn't happen on the next session. And if it does, we'll just switch it over to another link. We always figure out a way to make it work. That's how we do it in the entrepreneurial world. We always figure out a way. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for submitting the questions. And thank you very much for joining us today live on this session. The next one may happen next week or the week after. As mentioned, I'm going to do these either weekly or bi-weekly schedule depending. And look forward to the next videos that I got coming out, one on Wednesday or Thursday and on Saturday. And we'll talk soon. Thank you.